my first dream job was to be a civil engineer because I really like to draw buildings and I really enjoy like making it. I have actually two major burnouts in my IT consulting or programming career for the past decade. I can call it. So the first one was we can work 8 hours a day, but it doesn't mean that you have 8 hours of focus time. So I think all BSafe programmers can relate to this because there's a big difference working 8 hours a day and real practical focus hours. So that's why it's good to block the calendar if needed or just do it just to keep track of our own schedules.
AI support or human teammate?
Human teammate.
Documentation first or figure it out later? Hey there, busy programmers. Thanks for tuning into the Busy Programmer series where we dive into the stories, insights, and beyond code challenges of some of the most inspiring people in tech. Before we jump into today's conversation, I would like to ask a quick favor. Statistics show that over half of people who watch this kind of interviews don't subscribe to the channels. So if you enjoy what you are seeing or hearing here and want to keep up with more real, relatable content about life in tech, hit that subscribe or follow button. It's easy and it doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us grow this community, bring on more of the guests we are excited to feature, and keep adding real value for you. Don't be a stranger in read mode only as well. Drop your comments, leave questions for me and my guests, and suggest anyone you would love to see on the show. Together we can shape this channel into a space that truly reflects what matters most to all of us busy programmers. All right, let's get into it. Hope you enjoy today's episode. And yes, it is now recording. So we went back from behind the scenes. So welcome to the Busy Programmers interview series and with our fellow busy developers and amazing people from the whole IT industry. And my today's guest is Jonah Andersson. Hi, Jonah. How are you today?
Yes, I'm great. Hi, Marcin. Thank you so much for having me at the busy programmer podcast or show that you have recently launched. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thank you very much for accepting this invite, and of course for your time and dedication to make it happen. And we know each other from a couple of the events and conferences, but of course for the other viewers and people who might not know you, can you just introduce yourself to the audience? Where are you from? What are you doing in the IT and beyond IT as well, maybe?
Yes, that's right. So, hi everyone. I'm Jonah Andersson. I'm from Sweden right now for the last 12 years. But I was born and originally from the Philippines. That's why you don't see me so Swedish. But I do speak multiple languages such as Filipino, English, other local languages, and Swedish. I love English. I work as a senior Azure consultant in an IT consulting company called Solidify here in Sweden. But I am a remote consultant leading a team of cloud DevOps or infrastructure engineers in a US based project. So I've been remote working as a busy programmer or developer for the last 3, 4 years since the pandemic. And outside work as a consultant, I also recently started my own company called Jonah Andersson Tech that I work for myself on my spare time for my book writing or IT training courses or any IT training related that don't compete Solidify or the other company. And then community wise, I'm very active as a Microsoft MVP for Azure, Microsoft certified trainer, and also as a speaker traveling within Europe or internationally to share knowledge about Azure and cloud development or anything that I do that inspire others. So that's the quick short version about me.
Yeah, very quick and very
Yes.
brief, and we know, I know,
Yes.
at least I follow you for a little while, that you are doing a lot of the things, and of course we will be talking
Yes.
about them, because that also what inspired me to first of all put you on the very top of the list of people who are definitely busy and managing a lot of the things and wearing a lot of the hats. Uh, but maybe let's
Yes.
start a little bit early on this road, because what were your
Mhm.
beginnings with code and programming at all? How old were you when you were first exposed to the type of code or anything about code?
Yes, that's a great question. So as I shared on my introduction about me, I grew up in the Philippines and moved to Sweden 12 years ago, or 13 years. I think 2011 was when I moved here. And I actually, to be honest, my first dream job was to be a civil engineer because I really like to draw buildings and I really enjoy like making it. So in the Philippines back then, like civil engineering is a man's dominated job, and I was very young, very little. I already had that mindset of being different, so I want to break the barrier that, hey, it's a man's dominated, I'm a woman, I want to be one. But then, to make the long story short, I didn't end up working as a civil engineer because my parents couldn't afford to send me in a civil engineering course in a university. It's because in Philippines it's not free to go to college, and my
Okay.
parents told me we can't afford to send you to school. So to make the long story short, I ended up being a scholar, a government scholar, by my own initiative. I took a scholarship exam secretly without my parents knowing, and then I just
That's
told them
good.
I'm going to college because I did it. So I studied computer science, and this was back in 2001. It was in the at the time when internet became
Mm.
popular. I was about like under 20, at least, as I can remember. I'm getting old that I forgot how old I was. But my first programming language was Visual Basic, and I learned how to code my first web page on a notepad and put it in a web server somewhere on the hosting company. I think at that time Yahoo Messenger was popular. I learned how to code in a 14 inches CTR computer and saved all my home projects or school projects in a 3.5 floppy drive. So telling this to you, it feels like I'm old.
It's not that far from the times that I started also coding, but you know, I always admired people who said that, you know, when they were 8 years old, they had parents who were programming
Yes.
on Commodore,
Yeah.
Fortran, or whatever else. Because I was not this type of the kid as well. I was first time exposed to code in high school, where some teacher showed us some kind of a program that he wrote or created in Pascal, Turbo Pascal then. So
Yeah.
that's
Right.
also why I'm very curious, because again, I didn't know that I want to go to the IT studies. It was, to be fair, by accident. So that's why I'm always curious how it is for the other fellow programmers, because sometimes they always felt like, okay, computers, 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 but sometimes they were not even having computers, and then they realized that
Yes.
maybe this is their path. So you said that
Yeah.
it were during the studies, but have you ever been interested in tech computers besides the
Yes.
developers and other stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think destiny, of course, the destiny and the situation, life situation that I had when I was younger. I really wanted to go to college, have a good job. And then my interest into building something and led me to study computer science, which also programming. If you think about civil engineering, building physical buildings, but I think the interest of building something plus
Hmm.
technology and being introduced to the computer kind of led me to started liking it at that time when I was young. And believe it or not, I finished my studies, computer science with major in programming at that time, without owning my own computer. So I used my school money as a scholar to go to an internet cafe and buy my 3.5 floppy disk to just like do my homework and doing my coding of my project in a internet cafe. And I'm very proud and humbled to say that, considering now today I work as a consultant and I have like how many laptops I have? Four laptops and
Yeah.
lots of screens.
Yeah, I was going to
Yes.
say, like, tell us people what are your excuses these days, right? So because we have knowledge
Yes.
everywhere, we have possibilities and courses. I don't even bring the to attention the other areas where we can learn from. But then it was a little bit tougher. And again, it was a boom of the internet. So that's you said that
Yeah, that's
2000
right.
and around. So that was interesting time to start with. But okay, let's talk now about when did it all start to not be enough, because okay, let's you finished the studies, you started work as a
Mm-hmm.
programmer, software developer.
Mm-hmm.
When was the first time when you thought that okay, your day job is not fulfilling everything what you want to do, when you started doing more than just a job?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because there's also part of my story after I finished computer science and learned programming, which is my first programming language as a scholar was Visual Basic. And in the city where I grew up, Dumaguete City in the Philippines, there weren't any IT companies at that time that were like offering jobs for programming. So I was thinking maybe I could go to another island or another city. I was about like 18, 19, 20 years old. And my mother died of breast cancer. And as the eldest child, I was actually working for the nearest job in my city that is closest to tech, and that was being a tech support for an American company. I worked night shift so that I could have money to raise my sisters and brothers, the younger ones at that time. And I did not actually end up being a programmer after school because of the life situation. But then, after working as a tech support in different companies, moving in different cities, helping my family, prioritizing them, and then when I moved to Sweden, I felt like I the passion for being a programmer and all the things I learned in college are still there. So I did actually studied more programming and in C sharp this time and in Java when I moved to Sweden. And that's the boom of my career in a way that I invested 3 more years learning Swedish for half a year, learned and spoke Swedish with all the Swedish other developers, junior developers. And then I started working as an IT consultant in an IT consulting company near my city for the last 9 years. So I've been an IT consultant for a while, and I grew up from a junior developer to a full-fledged senior or IT consultant that does a lot of things.
Yeah.
The busy
But
one.
yeah, I like how you said that you invested
Yes.
3 years into the career, because right now there's a lot of
Yes.
dedication sometimes needed, and
Yes.
people do not want to waste time, and even a year seems to be a huge time frame and investment.
Yes.
While in overall in the, let's say, whole career, it's still a small chunk of our time.
Yeah.
But coming back to the original question,
Yes.
so you were doing consulting, let's say
Mm-hmm.
after the investment, after the growing up part to the developer and senior consultant, when you started doing more than just consulting, do you remember the moment when
When
you felt like okay, I will maybe speak about what I'm doing on some of the meetups, or maybe I will go to a meetup,
yes.
or maybe I'll write a
Yeah.
blog? What was the first thing that popped out in your mind that stepped out of
Mm-hmm.
your job and daily job routine? Do you remember that maybe?
Yeah, beyond coding as your
Yes,
point
yes,
of view
yes.
and perspective. Yes, we're not going to talk about coding
No,
and all.
code is not allowed here. We won't be talking code,
Yes.
Azure.
Yes, I agree. Well, it all started like when I was a junior, like a developer consultant here in Sweden. I had a chance to, like a side project I had in this as a on the side of being a developer or programmer to teach kids programming in schools, and that is like teaching them block programming, JavaScript programming, and even robot programming with Lego Mindstorms. And as a programmer, working as one and as someone that's teaching the younger generation, I did see that the gap already of gender, because there's already a gap in the IT industry of being women, female developers and like male developers. But I did see the gap already in school, the interest of learning tech, learning programming. So to make the long story short, that really inspired me that I ended up speaking and sharing my tech story to my first public speaking years ago was in front of young students in a big stadium in my city, like about 300, 400 of them. I spoke Swedish, and I shared about how I ended up working as a programmer. And I was very scared behind the stage. I only had 15 minutes, but after the talk, I felt like it kind of like changed my mindset of breaking the fear of being on stage and being afraid of the public because of my inspiration, because I saw the faces of those kids that they were really impressed about my journey from an Asian country like Philippines, moving through all I did to get on stage and inspire them. That changed, and since then I started sharing knowledge by public speaking or sharing knowledge in a meetup, blogging, active in social media, and then it led me to be awarded as MVP and all other awards that I've got over the last years. Yes, so that's how I
Yes,
went beyond code.
that's an impressive and of course inspiring story as
Yes.
well, because I do also try to capture the feelings and the motivations of
Yeah.
when it all started to be not enough, because obviously we are all
Yes.
kind of jumping to other activities because something maybe is getting boring for us, or something is getting less challenging, or maybe we want to help other people, maybe we want to steer other people. And I like the story about the children, because I was also kind of an educator myself. So I think this
Yeah.
is really nice to see and share also, because everyone can do and can inspire from it too. And yeah,
Yes.
you started talking about the activities. Maybe let's jump onto that, because I have prepared a long list of things that you are doing. I also
Yes.
did my research, and besides, of course, our conversations in real life, I've been listening to some of the podcasts with you already. And first of all, you are speaking on the events, organizing and co-organizing meetups and
Mhm.
conferences in Sweden and with the Microsoft. You are delivering trainings for Azure and Microsoft. You're an author of an amazing and very big book called Learning
Yes.
Microsoft Azure, which is
It's
which
also
is
there.
yes, which is an
Yes.
amazing piece of advices for all the Azure interested people. And just next to it, you are doing still a full-time job. So
Mhm.
my first question that I want to ask you here is, why? For what you are doing that?
Okay. Why am I? You mean why I'm doing the
All of that.
community
Yes.
things
Yeah.
that I do on the side of my job?
Yes.
Yes,
Because
that's a great.
in
I
in
love
theory,
it.
in theory
Yes.
you don't need to. In theory you don't need to do that.
Yeah. Yes.
So why you are
Because
thinking you are doing that? Yeah.
the answer to this question is because of my why and my purpose, why I work in tech. Because when I started public speaking, I used to be, as I'm not sure if I mentioned, I used to be very shy as a girl, until I got out of my skeleton, my
Yeah.
closet, and started public speaking to share and inspire knowledge about what I do. But the reason why I went beyond being a programmer and being beyond being an IT consultant, it's because of my purpose and my why. And my personal why, I read a book by Simon Sinek, Start with Your Why, and that really inspired me.
Great.
And the book inspired me to know my purpose, why I work in tech. And the reason why I work in tech is I want to use my career or myself to inspire others with what I do, so that they can be also like an inspiration to others, just like paying it forward. So I gave them something, a seed in their minds or their heart for inspiration, and it can grow, and might be a seed for them to pass forward to other developers. So the and I know that my why cannot be fulfilled by sitting 8 hours a day or how many hours a day just coding between the screens and talking to people in meetings. I have to get out and connect with people, which actually energize me and inspires me. So even though you see I have this, and that, even though it takes my time, the time is something I don't really have so much, but it kind of like fill my cup as well. It doesn't, it drains, but it fills my cup all the time, like the like a bucket of water. So that's why, because of my purpose, and very inspired when I inspire others. Just like when I'm talking passionately to you about what I do, and it's like filling me up with energy right now. you
Yeah, but
you
again,
notice it.
yeah, I do understand that, and I heavily relate to it as well. And I do because often expectation is that something, is might be a business idea, something might be a just
Yes.
an idea or a stupid idea, a better idea, but then we just
Yeah.
do things, and it's often not even steered by any additional drivers or motivations. It's just done to be done,
Yeah.
and sometimes we don't know. It's easy, to reflect on the past when it already happened, but it's not that
Yes.
easy when you are just doing that. But
Yeah.
I have one more question regarding the activities on the
Hmm.
meetups and community in general, because you said that
Yes.
you wanted to put a seed out of that and make people inspired. How this
Yes.
happened? How being a part of the community helped your career so far or your personal growth, besides the removing of shyness, maybe, or some kind of increasing your confidence level of
Yes.
speaking? How else it helped
That's
you?
That's really great. So I belong to different communities. I belong to the MVP community. I recently met you also past few years on the Umbraco community, and the speakers community, and also my own user group, Azure User Group Sweden. So how it helped me, first, it did help me expand my professional network in a way that I grew up my grew my followers on LinkedIn from just like almost nobody or 500 to I think I have almost 14,000 followers now. And job opportunities like comes in all the time, and the job that I have right now is actually a result of me public speaking. So I was working in a different IT consulting company for 3 years, and then it happened that the co-speakers of the same company that I work for now, Solidify, found me, and they thought I was a good profile, so they just like offered me a job, quick talk, and I got the job offer right away, full time job, and all the other benefits. So that's what I have now for the LSE. So it can help me with my career, get the job that I have now. Great connections, and in terms of community of like that I build, Azure User Group Sweden, it kind of like helped me personally and professionally to become a better leader. Not just like, it's also beyond code, beyond being a programmer, because I do believe in good leadership, and I had bad leaders or managers in the past that I had to leave that job. And I learned that if you want to have a good leader, you need to start with yourself. And I built Azure User Group Sweden alone, and now I expand. But I really love seeing that the community members are starting to share their knowledge as well, which fulfills my purpose, my why, that they get inspired, so they also inspire. So it's really inspiring, and when I see that the fruit of all the effort, it's not even too much effort, I really get inspired to contribute more in the community, even though I'm not paid to speak in some of the community events, but it fills me up, and I know it benefits me in intangible ways. Sometimes it's tangible as well. So yeah, that's the answer, the long answer, but a
That's a
good one,
perfect
I think.
answer. Yeah, that's a perfect answer,
Yeah.
and that makes
Yes.
complete sense. I
Yeah.
think that it's two-way conversation and relation between the
Yeah.
organizers and the community leaders and people. And I just need to upgrade the list of all the things that you are doing, because you've mentioned it on one of the podcasts that you are also leading teams, and you were leading teams often as well on your job. And
Yes.
we will talk about
Yeah.
how and what are the challenges with the techniques and stuff like that there in a little while.
Yes.
But there's one thing that comes to my mind with that, because you've mentioned that it helps you often to feel your energy levels and to also motivate you to do more. So
Yeah.
did you have, or I think so, but maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but all of us, and you probably too, had some kind of worse periods, worse levels of motivations. Have you ever had or experienced anything like, imposter syndrome or even a burnout? Did you see anything like that? Did you try to work or use maybe this community activities or some of those different fruits to then maybe step out for a little while from development, for example, do something here? Because
Yes.
why I just will finish the question with my story, because I did exactly the same with education for children. I felt completely burned out, and I started educating children and started to be involved in the programming school just because I couldn't code anymore. And of course, after a little while, I went back. So I would love to hear your story. How did you deal with any kind of lower energy levels, or did you face anything like that, like imposter syndrome or burnout yourself?
Yes. I have actually two major burnouts in my IT consulting or programming career for the past decade. I can call it. So the first one was having a bad leader or a
Hmm.
leader that you don't deserve in a company. So I had this manager in one of my previous companies where I was being micromanaged by that leader. And it really stressed me out, especially with a lot of stresses with work and everything. So it was too much. So the sign that it was too much for me, because I was getting depressed at work. I felt like I was outside, no support from other colleagues. And to make the long story short, I saw that my immune system was breaking down to that point, not just emotionally, but physically. I got
To
rashes
physically as
all
well.
over
Yeah.
my face. So my immune system, I got rashes all over my face. And I was very more depressed when I saw that I couldn't be outside people. And I was crying and I wanted it fixed, but it didn't. I was in the hospital and nobody cared. I felt alone at that time, so it was really a burnout. But to make the long story short, what I did that helped me is to actually, instead of suing the company or suing those leaders that did mistreat me and went beyond in a higher level, I let it go. I forgave them, and then I quit that job. And then soon after I quit that job, I rested for about a month without job, just home, taking care of myself. Just after 1 week, I resigned. My rashes went away. So you do
That's
see
amazing how
that.
body gives us the
Yes.
signs, right? It's like,
Yeah, yeah. When your body sends, that's why I learned that experience of burnout actually led me. So it's not just like the work, busy work or programming work that we do, but also the people around us that we work with. If they are not healthy for you, you're going to be infected. And you need to listen. I learned in that experience or burnout experience to listen to your body. And also, when don't wait until like don't wait when your body goes down. And I also learned to speak up after that experience. So that's why I became stronger because of that. So that's the first story. And then during that time as well, I had my cloud migration journey. That also was part of the job in the same company. I was doing a lot of work, a lot of things with the cloud migration, and under resourced, meaning I was doing the development, I was doing the architecture, doing this and that. Too much work, too little resources for a big project. That also stressed me, but I learned a lot. But the good thing about it, because with that project, I ended up writing my book, which is actually internationally published right now. So I learned a lot from those experiences, and I'm very thankful that I did experience that, because it made me who I am today. I feel stronger when you
yeah.
experience those worst things in life or career already. Yeah.
Yeah, again, we all see, often just the beautiful sides, or just what
Yeah.
other people want to show us from their life, because and then we feel
Yes.
like, everything is like that, and we know that this is not like this, and we need to listen to our body. And I like that you said that you
Yeah.
started to speak up about the things, because I recently heard a couple of the good stories, because I was attending one of the big conferences about being beyond code, and mental
Mhm.
health, and general troubles and challenges with organizations are were often mentioned there. And people said that you can either change your organization, or you can either change your organization. So it's like, you either need
Yes.
to step out from the company, or wrong influence, or you need to change yourself somehow, or make yourself more aware, if I would say, because then
Yes.
we can all feel like, we need to just do that. Of course, there are things or tasks that are more challenging, less challenging. There is a lot of boring stuff to be done in every kind of job,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
sometimes we need to
That's
deal
right.
with it. But sometimes it's not enough to just deal with it, because we need to be mindful and be aware that something is maybe wrong in what we are doing here. And yeah, I'm
Yes.
glad that you've brought this example to attention, because everyone is going through
Yeah.
that, I would say.
Mental health is very important. I mean, we are always like part of the topic or the show is about busy programmer, but we
Yeah.
also it is also very important to go beyond code in a way that you also speak up when it doesn't feel right, and when it start to feel that you don't belong to this organization or to this project or to this workplace, you're not growing. So I'm a gardener, so I always think of my scenario or the experience that I have as I was a flower. I mean, I was a flower growing maybe as a junior developer in that pot of plant, but the soil is starting to get contaminated that I grew up that I grew outgrew outgrew that pot that I have to move myself out of there and be in a bigger world or bigger environment where I can thrive and be a big tree like an oak tree.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love this analogy. I love this analogy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. And you've mentioned time, and of course, time is our currency everywhere,
Yes.
whatever we do. And I like to, of course, also the topic of this series is the busy programmer, and we know that we might be busy by choice, or we can be forced to be busy.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends from our organization of work. And you've mentioned also that we all have the same amount of time, or if you didn't mention, we know that we have the same amount of time, but some of us are doing more and some of us are doing less. So let's talk about our business then now, and how you are dealing with all of that, and how you manage so many things. uh, I don't know if it was recorded or not recorded yet, but you said that you prioritized something. You prioritized this recording, for example, amongst the other
Yes.
things this week. So I believe that
Yes.
prioritization is also a huge part of your uh, planning, or orchestration of the time. So is that
Yes. That's
correct to say?
Yeah, that is correct. I try my best to be better and better with priority and also learning the art of saying no, which is not easy to do, especially if you are passionate about the things that you're saying no to. But I think you were gonna ask me to share my calendar, right?
Yes, that's upcoming. That's exactly what we are going to talk right now, because I would love to ask all the busy programs that I will ever meet, how their typical
Yes.
day and week looks like. So let's maybe try to share this,
Yeah,
and
let's
discuss
see if
that,
I can.
because
Let me see if I can share my screen. I'm familiar with StreamYard. Let's see if I can show the one that I did screenshot actually. So this is my week look like. Do you see
okay.
the screen?
Yes, I found it.
Yeah,
It's
yes, I
page
did the
now. Yeah.
download or print of my Outlook. So my calendar, I have like 5 or 6 calendars because I have work,
Mhm.
I have my business email or my personal, I have my other personal, and then I have community emails as well. So I what I do is in this week, for example, this is today. This is the BC
Yes.
developers podcast here, but I work from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in my consulting job. And then we
Mhm.
have this one that regular recurring meeting that I don't usually go to depending if I'm available. But if you notice early in the morning, I set out of the office. during
Mm-hmm.
off hours to block my calendar, including the weekend. But I also have like a schedule to do my work emails first thing in the morning. And then morning time, I have focus time, meaning I don't have work meetings unless I need to or I have something to insert, because my meetings are in the afternoons. If you notice, I have like silent meetings from 2 p.m. up to 5 or 6 sometimes in a row. So I want to have my morning to really focus time so
Yeah.
that I can take my break and do my workout, energize, and then I insert community or off work related meetings in between if needed, and then I flex my time
Mm-hmm.
if I need to. So I have like out of the office, but I what I try to do is that I try to avoid too many work meetings on Fridays. No meeting
Okay.
Fridays. Some kind of like something like that.
Yeah, I did try with. First of all, I want to say that I'm highly impressed by the color coding organization and the structure of your calendar. I hope that a lot of our viewers will also appreciate that. I did try
Yes.
with no meetings Wednesday for some of the time,
Oh, that's nice.
and it was interesting. I got inspired by other colleague from Poland who did that in the middle of the week, because again Fridays
Hmm.
are Fridays, Mondays are Mondays, it's everywhere. But then Wednesday is just in the middle. And if I had a Wednesday for myself, that's also what I'm trying to do right now with the recordings and all the community activities. Wednesday seems to be a perfect time for me, because again, you can still deal with fires after Wednesday. You can bring some fires to your plates before Wednesday. But I do see a lot of crazy good techniques here that you've used. I don't know if on purpose
Yeah.
or not on purpose, but first of all, prioritization, you and your personal time. I'm totally
Yeah.
impressed by that. You start with yourself and you address your things
Yes.
at the beginning. Then, same focus time. That's something what I've learned recently, that if I won't block
Yeah.
my time for focus work,
Mm-hmm.
other people will block my time for something else. And this is not my time, not my
Yes.
focus, right?
Yeah,
So
and
that,
usually in teams today, like communications channels in workplaces like Teams, if you set the Viva Insights, there's the focus time. So you schedule your focus time during a specific time during the week, and it does actually show on Teams that Jonah is focusing. So you can like block any notification if you're focusing. And I think it really helps me because when your colleague sees that you're focusing, oh, Jonah, this is the focus time of Jonah, I'll book a meeting with her later on instead when she has a free time on the calendar. And it is one way to also like show to your teammates that to respect your time and your time to deliver something, because when we can work 8 hours a day, but it doesn't mean that you have 8 hours of focus time. So I think all BSafe programmers can relate to this, because there's a big difference working 8 hours a day and real practical focus hours. So that's why it's good to block the calendar if needed, or just do it just to keep track of
yeah.
our own schedules.
Yeah, a lot of people right now trying to reduce the amount of days when they are doing the work,
Yeah.
and try to 4 days work weeks and stuff like that. So it's all about the quality of work, I can say, right? And that's
Yes.
you
Yes.
can be more productive if you are doing it better. I also do like here that you've put the workouts and nature walks inside of your calendar.
Yes.
I did often
Weekend.
seen also.
Yes.
Yeah, but I did also see on your Instagram that you often do workouts during your lunch breaks or day breaks,
Yes, I
just to
do.
probably boost some energy levels as well on
Yes, I
during
do.
during the day.
I do. I can share how I spend my personal time, because we're going beyond code. So work maybe not relevant for others to know. But usually in my personal time, I usually start the day with either my workout schedule is either in the morning or middle of the day, the midday break, for at least 30 minutes to 40 minutes. But I try my mornings to be like get out in the nature, walk with my dog because I have a dog. And then personal me time can also mean like reading this book or reading the book that I'm currently into. at least for 15 minutes. I usually set timers so I don't read like all day. So I set a timer on my watch, 15 minutes, I'm gonna read this. And then, oh, there's more interesting thing in this chapter. Then there's news one more time while I'm sipping my coffee. And then I have an alarm to start work, like at least 15 minutes, because
Okay,
I
yeah.
can end up too much in my personal time as well. And
Yeah,
I also
that's a good
see the
technique.
value of sleep. Sleep is very important. I think you can relate to that. So a
Completely.
work day is very tough without a good sleep. So I try my best to get some sleep. Sometimes it's not easy, but that's always my goal every night, to have a good sleep.
Yeah, I do appreciate and prioritize sleep as well recently, because I started to measure the quality of my sleep, and that started to expose me that, oh, I'm going crazy. And since I also have kids, it's often when I'm just going asleep with
Mm-hmm.
them, and then I realize, oh, damn, I had so many things to be done in my evening blog session. Because what I did myself in the past, and I will ask you about this question as well, because for example, books, writing books, doing community work, you
Mm-hmm.
said that you sometimes do it in the middle of the day and then you flex the other work times. But what I did try in the past, I did try to arrange some time for myself from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., and then that was 3 hours of my complete focus time on everything beyond my day-to-day job. And that worked pretty well. But then I realized, oh, I need to wake up at 6, and then I do not sleep that much, and I have some challenges with other things. So I stopped doing this, and now I try to balance it out elsewhere. So
Yeah.
how are you doing this? How you are working on all of the other things now? When are you placing this in your calendar, or what are you sacrificing
Yes.
to do that?
You mean the personal things? Usually, so my I have like different categories. I have work as a consultant, work for my own company, and also have like community events and the speaking and the travel and personal time. So what I do, like the me time outside work hours, is very valuable to me, and I try my best to really get offline uh, on the weekends,
Hmm.
because I think recharging is very important. And then most of the time, this like during the week, I have community events that kind of like inspires and lift me up as well. So, for example, we have this recording right now today, and then I'm gonna start working again. I have some meetings with work. I'm gonna finish my workday maybe at 6 p.m. But right after my work day, I'm gonna go live to share knowledge about AI 900 with the community and fellow MVP. And then that's the end of my day. And then after I end my day, I'm gonna probably insert here and cook something good for dinner and just like relax and then restart. It's like sleep,
Yeah,
repeat, and just do the routine just to have a routine. And I'm pretty flexible. This is like an organized like a schedule for the week, but I'm pretty flexible, and as much as possible I try to decline things that doesn't that isn't so important to me, and prioritize personal time if possible. And I have control, anything that I can have control, I try to do it better in my
yeah,
perspective. But it's not easy all the time. My week to week is different. This is my week, but next week maybe it's different, especially when
yeah.
I'm traveling, which is a different case also.
That's also on the list to be discussed, of course. So when
Yes.
you are traveling, because we talked about it in the past already, that
Mm.
you often do travel, you often speak in various countries. How then you are
Yes.
making it all possible with your life? You said also that you have we have observed Lawrence as well on the Instagram. You have a lovely dog. You have your life.
Yeah.
You love cooking. You are gardening. How it all merges up together with let's say work-life balance, which is something what I do not like to name like that, but how you
Yeah,
balance it out.
especially in the book, I mean this book that you
Yes,
also read, it says like
yes, it's also lying there.
work life balance is a myth, but that's
Yeah.
what like we try at least. But I when I have to travel, I also have to work, so I do remote work. When I'm on stage, I get off work and I don't work on my consulting job. I take off work and I call it like my, what do you call that? My learning day. But
Mm-hmm.
when I have to, and when my team at work, because I'm a lead at work in my client, so I try my best to be available, even though I'm on the train, I'm on the airport. I try to work as much as I can. The focus maybe is not the same as I'm in my home office, but I try to flex my time and I'm kind of getting used to it. At home, I try to make as much as possible, try to find time that it fits my schedule when I have to travel. And when I have to work, what I do, like if I am writing a blog or updating something with the course or coding that is okay to do offline, I usually like make sure that I have all the things I need before I board the plane, so that I don't waste the time while up in there. So I
Yeah,
work a bit there, but at the same time I was also like thinking a flexible way to get offline. When I travel, I bring at least one book to read, because being on the air is kind of like a good way to disconnect also from the world and from the work. So I like it that way as well. You
true.
know, I'm not sure
I,
if that answered your question. I hope
Yeah,
so.
it is partially because again, it's more about the orchestration of this time, and you did
Mhm.
also mention it that you have pretty supportive company that you work with as well, because
Yeah.
they do
Yes.
allow and support you in all the activities that you do, and you don't need to sacrifice a lot of
Yes.
the time of your work to do whatever you would love to do, right outside of that. So
Yes,
that's
the
a huge
vacation time. I
argument. Yeah.
agree. I agree on that. Yes, I agree because I had a company that did not support all the community work that I did, and that goes back to following my purpose. And if the company I work for doesn't follow my vision, my purpose, and my why, then I know that's not the right company for me. It's time to move on and look for somebody else. So I am very blessed and also lucky to have this company that found me and we match in a way that they support me when I travel to conferences. I share where I work, but I also deliver in a way that I help in the companies stats, of course, as a consultant. So I deliver, and I think I'm proud to share that the people that I work with, I have built good relationships. So this client that I'm working on now, I think I've been working for them for the last 4 years
Mm.
already, and I switched job
Yeah.
few
So
times, and they're
you
still
switch
my
job
client.
with the
So
client. Yeah, that's impressive. That's
yeah,
also
yes,
a
yes,
great
that's
review of
right.
your work from the client's perspective.
Yes,
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Thanks for
yes,
sharing that. I have two more questions regarding your calendar, and
yes,
then we can
yes.
move to another section. One is you've mentioned about declining some of the meetings and not letting other people control your time. How you are dealing with that? You've mentioned also saying no, which is the technique, of course, to that. How you are approaching this? How you are trying to also communicate it with your people, and do they respect your time orchestration organization, and they do not try to break the structure of your calendar too often?
Yeah, yes, that's a good question. In my perspective, I think the calendar like schedule I showed you, I have that schedule of focus time almost like every day in my work day, and I believe it is respected by my colleagues or my teammates when I put that in my calendar. So what I learned is that if I know I need those time, focus time, and off time, I need to put it in the calendar. So it's pretty clear communication at work that Jonah is focusing, she's busy. But if I'm also at the same time very, what do you call that? Flexible, because I don't
Hmm.
want to be like, the booze earphones that like I'm very close.
Yeah.
I'm very
Do not
close
do not
in
tap
my
on the glass,
world.
right?
Yes, yes. Don't touch Juno, otherwise you
Yeah.
get a slap, something like that. No, I'm also telling them I'm focusing right now, but if there is an emergency, feel free to just like reach out to me in Teams, and if I look away, I'm appear to be away, then feel free to just message me on WhatsApp so I can like help, because sometimes you can have your focus time, but sometimes there are people or teammates that really help needs your help, or at least your advice, and that advice that they need can only take few minutes. And if it's something that gives a big impact, it's good to give that few minutes of your time to others and continue with your focus time later on. But I think it's good. It's good to have a schedule, and I'm actually struggling or learning the art of saying no.
Mhm.
So I think this book, the one thing, is the reason why I bought this book. I heard a lot of good reviews, and I was surprised you're also reading this. But I really like the book. That I have
Yeah. Yeah, you
a
have a
lot
lot
of
of notes.
bookmarks.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's really teaching me to focus on one thing, which is the title. And today I have this like note and quote that says, "To achieve an extraordinary result, you must choose what matters most and give all it demands."
Mm.
I like it. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good quote. I did
Yes.
refresh this book recently, and yeah, it opens up a perspective that again, it's
Yeah.
only about what we are focusing on. We do a lot of smaller things, bigger things, but one thing should matter the most at the time, because at the same time, it's probably not. A lie to say that we cannot be amazing at everything at the same time. So it's always
Yeah.
a matter of doing something in exchange of something else, and not everyone should and will be happy because of our decisions.
Mhm.
So that's great to bring it back here. And yeah, I kind of
Yes.
like this. I'm also mastering. Maybe it's hard to say mastering. I try to say no more often, because I was usually a yes man,
Yes.
and I was everywhere, every time available, helping everyone else. And then I realized that, oh, my things are not getting done, and I'm solving someone else's problems all the time. And is it
Yes.
my job in overall? But often it was my job. But yeah, now I'm trying to also prioritize myself and my tasks, and then saying no is the technique that helps me a lot with doing more of my things.
Yes, I have something to add to that, because
Yeah,
going back to the previous question about like how people respect your my focus
yeah.
time. So, I lead a team at work, and usually the team members, especially when they were junior to me like months ago, I mentor them. But sometimes when you are mentoring them, you get this lots of questions that they always like ask for help all the time, right? So my strategy when I get a question and I know I have a lot of things to do, I usually just like, okay, that sounds like you need help there. And my strategy is to ask them to look into my calendar and find time to book me for discussion separately
Hmm.
if they don't find any results in their own investigation or
Mm.
problem solving time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's one way of saying no, but at the same time you're also not saying no totally, but you're offering help if
Yes.
they can't do it. If they need like
Postponed
extra
help.
level help.
But
Yes.
that might be also a cool technique, because I do believe that a lot of the issues got resolved in between of the idea of getting your attention until
Mhm.
the meeting booked. The problem got resolved for, let's say, some percentage of the situations, and then only
Yeah.
those the most important ones lands in your calendar really as a follow-ups to be discussed. So
Yes.
that's a really cool technique. I heard recently about one other management technique, because that's exactly what I wanted to also
Hmm.
talk about with you next. Because I
Hmm.
heard that some leaders said that if they often faced and challenged the people's problems, they said to the people that, please come to me with already 3 resolutions of this problem, and then let's discuss these
Hmm.
resolutions. And that also forced people to think about potential solutions for the challenge that they are
Yes.
facing. And then the resolution itself was just a discussion of which way to choose and what to do with this, instead of just discussing the problem. right? So
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Come to me with three
yeah,
solution proposal. I like that. I think I'm gonna try to implement that also in the way I communicate and lead with people. So thank you for sharing about that. And one thing to add lastly about the this what we're talking about, and I think it's just important to just say how it is, to say that you're busy, to be honest and to be transparent, because I know there are some cultures, depending on where you are or whatever is the personality of the person that's leading or asking, that they try to be biased of just just doing the compromise of, okay, ask more, I'll help you, but in the inside you are like worried that you have a lot of things to do, that you're scared to say no. So sometimes you just have to say, no, I don't have time right now, and let's take it another time and propose a better solution that can be delayed, if possible.
yes, and also no can't be the default answer because then people will stop asking this
Yeah.
question to us and will stop trying to approach us. So we talked a little bit about leadership, and you've
Hmm.
mentioned about this techniques that you helped you deal with people. Do you also what else do you do to make your life and everything else easier for you? Do you have specific techniques, or do you communicate with your people on what are you doing outside or inside job? How you are influencing? How you are also making your people um, ob- not only observe but also follow what you do and hopefully also inspire from what you do. Do you do it on the daily job as well?
Yes, in my day job, I mean, you know what I do, like in
Yeah.
outside, like it's all usually like inspiring others, like about what I do. But when I'm at work or at work, I usually like, of course, I communicate to my teammates, of course, as humans, like they're like equal level as me, even though I have the seniority. Um, but what I do is that I engage with them in a way that I am helping them think about how to solve a problem, for example. So I'm kind of like a facilitator of something. So every time we have a sync meeting, almost like 15 minutes daily, they come to me, okay, what's your blocker today? And then they share their blocker, and then I give my input, and then I kind of like direct my input in a way that they can move forward, if you know what I mean,
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
unblock them. So that's my way, without spoon feeding them, do this, do this, do that, because I don't like to be the leader that I used to have, which was a micromanager. So I want to be a leader where I also create leaders in them. So when I'm out in a public speaking, for example, which happens, I'm very blessed and happy that my client is very flexible and knows what I do. They kind of respect me as a speaker as well, that I that when I'm out, my teammates can be leaders themselves. They
Hmm.
just need to consult me on call. Jonah, we really need you. It's burning here.
Yeah.
We need you on call like 2 a.m. in the morning or whatever, whenever it is. So I'm leading and communicating to my teammates in a way that they can be themselves and lead the problem or solve the problem themselves even without me, because I helped them in and I invested time in them how to do problem solving, even though the I'm not giving them the solution, but they think, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you also unblock people to do their to step up basically and follow
Yes.
and learn from your path, but also being highly actionable within your teams,
Yes.
which might be a true leadership in a nutshell. But as you've mentioned, I
Yes.
highly relate to what you've said about good and bad leaders because we've been all
Hmm.
exposed to various types of companies and management, and I think this is very important to first of all not probably try to force people to do more than they can do, but at the same time to
Yeah.
show them that they can do more that they are
Yes.
doing, because often people don't know that they can become a
Yeah.
leaders, they can have influence on the things around them, and yeah, just leading by example is a way
Yes.
to go.
Yeah, I think empowerment, empowering them and inspiring them about what they can do and what they can contribute really makes a workplace or the teamwork good. Because I noticed that I think at least I got some kudos and feedback from my teammates that like we're just talking, syncing, and then all of a sudden one of my teammates said, "Jonah, I really like working with you because
Uh,
you're good. I want to be like you." And you hear that from your colleagues,
yeah,
it's
that's nice.
like a blushing heart you will get, right? Because
Yeah,
you want to hear, you want to have, sometimes even though you're doing it from the heart, but when you hear it unexpectedly from a colleague as a compliment, it kind of like inspire you more also to do good in what you're doing, not just with the technical work or programming work or IT work, but also you're empowering fellow developers or IT people like us to be good. And I think if they are inspired, I think they will move it, pass it forward also to whoever they will lead also someday in other organizations or same organization. So I think in that way, I'm fulfilling my why, and that's to
yeah.
plant a good seed in them with my colleagues or fellow programmers.
Yeah, that's really nice. We'll
Yes.
be slowly getting and winding it out. So
Yes.
that's.
Time.
But yes, time is the precious currency. But I have a couple of
Yes.
outro questions to you,
Yes.
which are related to what you've said here. But I would love for you to choose some of the most valuable things from here. So I have a question, which is, what has been the most valuable lesson to you that you've learned from the experience that you had so far? If you would need to pick one thing that you've learned, and share with us, that made
Yeah.
you who you are now.
Ex- Experience in like as a programmer in general, or which experience?
That's a very
Like
open
very
question.
open.
We are here beyond code and programming, so
Okay.
anything what.
Yes. Yeah, I think both life and career. I think one of the important lessons I learned is to what that I learned in my span of life or career is that to I learned to and I really appreciate that I switch from being shy person, like being sensitive about what other thinks of me or talk about me, to someone who is brave and bold to share about who I am and being transparent. And that, to shorten it up, speaking up actually made a difference in my career and being myself and being genuine, because you can work in IT, have this social media profile that this is her personality in the front picture, but what I'm showing to the public right now or to you on camera, unscripted, is me. It's me as a programmer, it's me as Jonah. And I'm very transparent about my humble beginnings as well as a programmer, that I learned how to program without the computer. But I'm also proud and humble in a way that I am where I am right now because of all the experiences that I have in life and even my career, my burnouts and all the lessons learned, because that's made me who I am. And even though I'm busy, I try my best to inspire as well and make time for valuable things in my career or even the people that I connect to. So connection with right people is very important. So know your people is what I
Yeah.
also learned in my career or in life.
Yeah, that's an amazing set of
Yes.
lessons. Okay, and you've mentioned some books already. You wrote your book as well. So what resources, books, and courses have been game changers for you recently? If you would be asked to recommend any kind of book, movie, anything else that influenced you
Yes.
recently, besides the one thing that you've already mentioned, is there is is
Yes.
is there anything else that you've read or watched recently that switched your mindset a little bit or influenced you as well?
Yes, yes. There, of course, my book. It's more, but it's technical. So if they want to learn Azure, I would recommend my book, "Learning Microsoft Azure." But there's a few more books that I would recommend. There is one that I have here. It's called that I finished actually with lots of bookmarks. It's called "The Charisma Myth." It
Okay.
is a good book. And then there is also a book that is called Make Your Bed is also a good one. And then
Okay.
one of the things that I'm also reading recently that it's not done yet is this one.
Stolen focus. Why
Yes,
you
by
can't pay
John
attention.
Harry.
Yeah,
Why
nice.
you can't pay attention, which is one of the interests I have in terms of like, not because that I'm bad with focusing, but it's more like finding that one thing. It kind of like they two relate to
Hmm.
each other in my perspective. So, and then the charisma myth is good, especially if you're doing with communication, public speaking. I think it's good, good as well. I like reading leadership books and self improvement books that will help me grow as a person. So I spend a lot of money with books, and someday I have
But also, I've heard on one of the podcasts that you are reading a lot of fiction book as well, right? So that's
yeah,
you also want to step out of the self improvement and
yes,
learning and often probably offload yourself to some more fiction or even
yes,
non-fiction books which are outside of our our
yes.
outside of our IT industry in general, right?
Yes. So I do read a lot of books, but I'm also training myself not to buy a new book without finishing one because we end up having lots of books. I have lots of
Is that even
reading.
possible? Is that even possible, Jonah? I have a whole set of books here as well, waiting in the queue now.
But
It's
after we finish them, they are actually good soundproof
that's correct.
materials.
That's correct. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
generally we also need to understand that we cannot fall into the trap of learning this day, especially these days. It's a very
Yes.
dangerous part that where we are constantly trying to learn, but in reality we do not have chances to implement any of those learnings. And
Yes.
we talked about it earlier that we doing is doing things right, and this is the only
Yeah.
thing that
Agree.
matters because if we won't do that, we would prevent the doing things that would probably never happen. So that's
Yes. Yeah, I have something to an input about that. I can have many books. I have lots of books, but I'm as a reader or someone that is a bookworm, I always have this like one mindset that read without believing in anything. I mean, you can read with open mind, but always don't always believe in what you read. You have to read it with the spectacles in another perspective. But you can absorb some of them, but you don't have to absorb all. And there might be lots of books, but there are only a few that maybe is impactful to you. So the one that I top three that I shared, those are the books out of maybe 15 that I read that I think is really valuable to me. The rest is just like a good pastime reading for me. But the good ones are really worth reading and recommending.
nice. Nice, and thank you for sharing this
Yeah.
with us. And I will make sure that those links and information will be shared with everyone who will be interested to explore more about it. And now it's the time for something what I borrowed from Stephen Bartlett from the Diary of the CEO podcast, because
Okay.
there is going to be a small tradition here. So I will ask my guest who is being interviewed to leave a question to another fellow busy programmer without knowing for who this question is addressed to. So after this recording, I will ask you, Jonah, to leave one question as well for another busy programmer who will be joining me for the next conversation. But now I have a question to you from one of the other fellow busy programmers. So get
Okay.
ready. And the question is,
Okay.
if you are about to remove one thing from your current list of activities, what it would be and why?
Okay. Is it like current activities of the week, of the day? Okay.
Like, that's the
Hmm.
question. I don't know. Just one thing from your current list of activities, what it would be and why.
Okay. That's a very, very good question actually, because it's pretty broad also, because if I'm listening to that, I mean, if I'm just thinking about that question, is it like a list of things that I'm going to do today, this week, the entire year? Or is it personal? Is it work? That's a very, very good question, actually. If there's one thing from your current list of activities that I want to remove, okay. I think I would, in general, I'm just a random in my thought right now answer. In general, I have spoken to, I believe, 18 or 19 in person conferences already
Mhm.
this year. And one of the things that I want to remove, hopefully more next year, is minimize the number of conferences that I speak to, because I remember last June I had like 4 conferences in a month, and was like every week I'm traveling. So that's one thing that probably in my bucket or to-do list in the coming year that I want to remove from my activities, like not too much of it, just maybe minimize it maybe to 50% or 25%, like that dominoes in the one thing book.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great answer, and I think that this is exactly what can make some more room for your other activities as well, right? And killing, combining things is exactly what we need to do more other things. So yeah, I do like this option. So after, of course, we'll stop the recording. I will ask you for the question to the next programmer, and yeah, that might be also very broad, very wide question, and hopefully this person will then provide the answer that might be interesting for you and for others. So yeah, at the end, then after a wide and very big question, let me ask you 5 more quick questions where the answers are only yes or no, or option A or option B, and then we'll be done. So
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Okay.
that's a quick shots tradition that I want to start. Let's see how it will be going as
Is
well.
that
But
is that a typical Polish
no,
tradition?
no, no, not to relate with the another short tradition, but these are the quick questions. So yeah,
Okay.
first question is real-time chats or async communication?
Uh, Real time chat is better. I like it.
Okay. Preventing issues or resolving problems?
Resolving problems, that is easy to answer or resolve, then it can be
Okay.
done right away. Yes.
AI support or human teammate?
Human teammate.
Documentation first or figure it out later?
Figure it out later, depending on the urgency.
And last question, open office or work from home?
Work from home.
Great. These were the shots and quick questions at the end of
I
this
like the
episode.
questions. I like
Yeah,
that. I like that. I like that.
yeah.
They're like
I like the idea
spontaneous.
that
I don't know
yeah.
them. You get to
And the
know
thing
me
is,
more about my preference as well.
but the challenge is to not explain why. That's the toughest
Oh,
part of this because
sorry.
no, but you did pretty well, and
Yeah,
and 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 I think that's exactly what makes it complicated in general. Because of course we can defend our answers and we can tell why
yeah,
it's happening, but that. Let's open this imagination in the viewers' heads then why it's happened, and maybe someone else will reach out to you and explore this particular answer from time to time. But I kind of like it, and I
that's
like
good.
your answer. answers as well.
Yeah,
So
that's a good idea. I learned a lesson not to explain. Also, quick questions, quick answers. That's a
yeah,
good. That made me think how
yeah.
to answer, because one of my challenges also is I sometimes, especially if I'm speaking about things I'm passionate about, is I over explain things.
Hmm.
And I'm learning the art of being concise in what I want to relay. And that's why reason why I'm reading some good books. Yeah, so
Nice.
thank you for that.
Yeah, and Jonah, thank you very much for first of all your time, all the answers,
Yes.
all the great tips and lessons that we can definitely learn from your resolutions, challenges, and all the activities that you are doing. It's been a pleasure to have you here and interview you for this series. And at the end, just tell people where is the best place to find you in the internet. Where are you the most active, maybe?
Yes. Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, or if they search my name, Jonah Anderson, they can find me on the internet. But I'm easy to find on LinkedIn and Twitter or X as CJ Codere. And then if they search Learning Microsoft Azure, my name will also show up. And one thing they will notice is that they will see me, either my the blue bird on my book, or
Yeah.
me wearing blue, something blue on my clothes. So yeah, I'm
That's
known
a great
for the
personal
blue.
branding. That's a great personal branding. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And then I do appreciate the all the busy programmers. Thank you, Marcin, for inviting me, and all the busy programmers that are watching this episode when it is released. I appreciate your time, and I hope that the insights that I shared and discussed with Marcin is something that will help you also improve your life and career beyond the busy programmer life and beyond the code.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. They were a great set of advices and tips. So once again, thank you, Jonah, for your time and for your participation. And yeah, let's see each other on the speaker's path or anywhere else, or some other podcasts and episodes and YouTube challenges. So thank you very much again, and thank you everyone for watching us. Let us know if you like the content and if you have any specific questions, and I will make sure that those questions will reach out to Jonah or to us, and we'll provide you
Yes.
with the feedback and the guidance. So have a lovely rest of the day and the week, Jonah, and see you
Yes.
soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.